Hello everyone. So actually there are several methods to collect data for survey research, but due to the time constraints and our situation at this current time, we will be focusing on talking about the online survey. Let's get started. So there are many ways of doing online survey. The first one, we can do it through email survey. So basically we are putting the survey on the email, in the body of the email. Or maybe we can attach a document in the email. It's simpler. Yeah, we can just copy paste here if we have a file, with the survey questions on it, and we can just copy paste the questions, the questionnaires into the body of the email. But limitation of this type of online survey is that visually, yeah, we cannot play with the visual display or visual presentation, yeah, of the questionnaire, and there will be very limited interaction. Yeah, so um, there's no interaction between the researcher and the participants, which is typical in online survey, but with the email survey this is even more restricted. Yeah, well, for sure the respondent can send you know reply, email reply to the researcher, but if we have like 100 participants, or if we have a large sample size, then that's going to be difficult for the researchers to respond to each of the email that is sent to them. And then the structure, by using email survey, we will have restriction, limitation in uh, like setting up the structure, for example, for the filtering, or like skip questions. We cannot, we so all the participants will have to fill out and we'll be able to see all the questions, even though if they are not eligible for something. So for example, if you are only targeting a specific group, like, are you students of a Faculty of Psychology, Universitas Gadjah Mada? And if you're not, then you're not eligible. So you cannot do that, yeah, with the email survey, because they will all see the questions directly. With using the web survey, the other type of online survey, we will have more advantages. So from the appearance, we can sort of like play the display, like the visual appearance of the questionnaire. Yeah, we can uh, put different color, a background, yeah, background color, a different background, pictures, images, something like that. So it might be more interesting, more attractive for the participants when they are filling out the survey. It's also more dynamic, so we can do many features, yeah, with the web survey. So some web surveys are, we can use we can do filtering, and we can also there are so many options. Yeah, we can provide the instruction in one page or the same page with the questionnaire. We can also, we can play with the different setup, like one question per page or two question per pages per page. We can use drop down list or any other type of options, like multiple choices, or they can select more than one choice, and etc. So there are so many features that we can use using some sort of web surveys. So now come to the why the online survey. So first, it's cost effective, especially there are so many programs that we can use for free. So this is cheaper than the other survey modes. For example, if we are doing the paper and pencil survey, then we will have to print out, yeah, the paper, and we might have to also provide the pens, the pencils for the respondents to fill out the questionnaires. And if we're doing like a survey by post, by mail, then we'll have to spend money for sending the surveys, distributing the surveys. And interview also, we might have to really meet the participants face to face, or using the phone calls, etc. and also data entry. Yeah, for paper and pencil survey, for example, we'll have to input the data, like because we will get the response in a paper, and then we will have to enter the data into some sort of software, Excel spreadsheet or the SPSS. Then we'll have to input the data ourselves, or maybe we will need to use assistance if we have so many data. If we have a large sample size, then we'll have to hire assistants to enter the data. But with online survey, that our data is already recorded there. Yeah, on we can easily download the data. Export it into different. Some programs allow us to export it to different types of software. So that makes everything easier and more cost effective for us. And also, yeah, there's transcended space. It's borderless, so everyone, anywhere, everywhere can participate in our study. So again, we don't need to spend money to travel, yeah, to our participants' houses or something like that. They can just, we can just send out the link of the survey, and they can just fill out wherever they are and whenever they can. It also has fast implementation. So if we find there's like a typo or mistakes in instructions or in the survey or something like that, it's very easy. It's very easy to be corrected. So we can correct it fastly, directly, quickly. Yeah, but if comparing to the other types of survey, like for example the paper and pencil, we find typo and we have already sent that survey to, like using the mail, and that's gonna be hard, for us to like, we have to, you'll have to return back our survey, or we'll have to send out another set of survey. Then that's gonna be it's gonna take more time from us. Yeah, so but with the online survey we can just quickly correct it. And then it's also not related to, not dependent on the number of the respondents. So yeah, so we can cover many respondents, many participants. So we are not restricted to a certain type or a certain number of participants, because it's more cost effective. So if with a paper and pencil, we probably will have to adjust our budget, like, okay, we only have budget for like 50 participants, for example. Then so yeah, then we cannot get more data because we have no more budget. For example, we have no more money for collecting data from more participants. But with the online survey, because it's more cost effective and has fast implementation, it's not restricted to a certain number of participants or respondents. It is also easier to fill out, yeah, for from the participant sites, from the respondent side. It's easier for them to fill out. They can just, and many softwares, and now they can just fill it out using their mobile phone or using a laptop. That's easier. They can just click the button, and then they fill it out. And then in terms of coverage, on one hand, yeah, we can cover it, for example, for the in Indonesian context itself. In 2016, according to the data in 2016, there were 132.7 millions of internet users, or it's 51.7% of the whole Indonesian population. So we can cover at least 50% of the Indonesian population. So that's a huge number of people, right? But on the other hand, it might be only appropriate for certain respondents, because 55% of the internet users in Indonesia are office workers and 18% of them are students. So we might be only be able to cover these groups of people and not the other groups. And then in terms of compatibility, well, it's multi-platform, so we can use, yeah, we have to consider about the standardization of the survey. So our questionnaire may not be as standardized as if we are collecting the data offline, maybe in a certain laboratory setting or in a classroom or something like that. We can standardize, the way that the survey is presented. The researchers or the research assistants would have been trained, and they would be, trained how to greet the participants in a standardized way. And the setting itself, we can standardize it, but with the online survey, we cannot. It's very, we have limitation for standardization because, yeah, participant will use multi-platform. There's variety of OS, screen size, and resolution, and browser, and also, the setting itself. Yeah, the internet speed. Yeah, so when we're using online survey, this is one of the limitation. That's because our participants will have different internet speed, and sometimes, we might get participants who have, if we have very long survey, and then participant might have filled out like half of it, and then in the middle suddenly they cannot access like this. They're they have problem with the network, and then they have to stop there, and they don't want to repeat the survey, and then we will just lose that participant, for example. So so yeah, there's this internet speed that we have to consider, and we have to also consider that our design of the survey must be a responsive design, so it will be easier for the participants to fill out the questionnaire or the surveys. And then for the sampling, in terms of sampling, we may not have, yeah, the sampling frame. That's one thing, because, and also another issue is that one participant may actually have multiple emails. So even if we have a list of participant informations, then they might have multiple emails, and then we might, if we sample the email addresses, for example, then we might actually send the same survey, a survey to one person, but through different emails that this one person has, yeah, for example. So we might think that, oh, we already have enough participants, like we already have 100, but actually each one of them we send one survey, so each one of them has more than two emails, then we actually don't have that 100 participants. That's for example, yeah. And then no area, if using online survey, we also don't get like the area code, so that's also a limitation. That's an issue for getting the exact sampling frame for with the online survey. Some other things to be considered with the online survey is that, yeah, we less commitment of the participants because there's asynchronous communication, and it's also time condensed. So some participants, especially if we have a long survey, some participants might be just stopped in the middle of the survey, and they just don't want to participate anymore. And because there's no, if we are conducting the survey in a classroom setting and there is a researcher there, so there's a way for the researcher to communicate, to sort of like encourage, motivate the participants to complete the questionnaire. But because there's no synchronous direct communication between the participants and the researchers, so we are restricted, to encourage, to sort of encourage the participants to complete or to repeat again the survey if they, for some reasons, they have to stop in the middle. And then computer literacy, we have to make sure that our participants are literate in terms of using, computer softwares. And then, there's this difference in questionnaire logic versus computer logic. Yeah, sometimes the way that we are presenting the questionnaire in paper and will be different from the way that we are presenting the questionnaire in the computer. And then the display, the appearance, the visual appearance of the survey itself. These are two examples, of how a survey is presented, in online survey. The upper part here, what would you do if you are a respondent and then you see this? There are 16 pages that I will need to complete, and then you're still in page number 2, for example, and there are still 14 more pages. Then you might feel more discouraged. So you will feel discouraged. This is the second example. It's sort of better. So if you want, if it's important for you to provide sort of like information about the duration, the progress of the questionnaire for participants, then the second option, this one, is better than the first one. So at least, psychologically, the participants are not feeling intimidated, with the number of pages, but they will still know that, okay, they will still be able to sort of estimate like how long, should I take to fill out to complete the questionnaire. Another way that you can do is that instead of using this kind of feature to show the progress of the survey, you can directly say it in the beginning. And the informed consent, you must state like the duration that the average duration that the participants will need to complete the questionnaire. So they can expect that, okay, I will spend 10 minutes here, or I will spend 5 minutes here, I will spend 15 minutes here, or 30 minutes here. So they can beforehand, they can decide whether they would be willing to participate in the survey or not. And then another thing that we need to consider is this cognitive process in answering survey questions. So the first one will be the comprehension of the question. So when a participant or respondent sees our survey, then they will need to comprehend the question first. Actually, for using online survey, it's giving them more opportunity to really pay attention to the question. But on the other hand, because there's no synchronous or direct communication with the researcher, they may just click without click any option without actually reading or comprehending the question. So the first step in answering question cognitively is comprehension, and then there will be the retrieval of information. So after they comprehend what the question is, what is actually being asked from the question, then they will have to retrieve the information that is needed to answer the question, and then they will make judgment and estimation about how long they will take to fill out the questionnaire, for example, or to respond to this question, and then they will report an answer. Here they will report an answer, and then that's it. But sometimes, when using the online survey, the participants will be able to see. They might already retrieve an information. They might have already sort of like answering the question, but then they might think again, I might not answer this in the way that I wanted to answer it, and then they will return back to the number 1, for example. And so it can go back and forth. All of these processes can go back and forth, and especially in online survey, this provides more opportunity for the respondents, which is it's kind of like advantage and disadvantage at the same time for us. So when we have if we can use the software that can sort of like record the time for each participant to respond to each question, then we might want to use that. Or if there is a kind of like scenario that we want participants to read it, so what we can do is that we can read it first ourselves. Yeah, we can read it first ourselves, and then we can make estimation. Okay, I need like 30 seconds to read this one paragraph of scenario, for example. So then you might want to set a time limit. So the participant might you might set the time limit to be like 40 seconds minimum for participants to be in that page, yeah, to be able to move on to the next question. That's an example that you can do. So you have to consider this, yeah. So you're in here, you're making sure that at least participants already read the whole scenario before moving on to the next page. Yeah, you have to consider all of these questions and all of these processes. And if you can record the time for each participant to respond to each question, then you will be able to, once you get the data, you will be able to judge whether, wow, this participant only takes like 1 second for each question, like it's impossible, like you have like 30 questions, and then for one participant, in completing the questionnaire only needs like 30 seconds, like, so it means that in each question, average, this participant only spend 1 second, and that's impossible. It means that you can sort of make assumption that this participant might have just clicked, clicking without even reading the survey question. Then you can decide what to do with the data. Or the opposite, you see that one participant is using, for just 30 items, and that in the average, people need only around 15-20 minutes duration to complete all the survey, and this participant use like 5 hours, then you might also be able to sort of decide what to do with this data. Yeah, so all of this, if you were using online survey, and especially using some softwares that can provide you with this kind of information, then you will be able to make judgment about the cognitive processes that were happening, yeah, during the survey. Yeah. Okay, so there are some tips in conducting the online survey. First, use short sentence, simple word, and easy to understand. Yeah, and you might have learned that it's very important to test out our survey first with other people, non-participants. Yeah, maybe the other group members, or the other groups, yeah, the other people who are not participants, making sure that they understand all the questions. Use headings and pages to organize the online questionnaire. So if we have several parts in the questionnaire, in the survey, we might not want to put all the parts, the whole survey, in just one page, and then participants will need to scroll down. You might want to organize it in a way that, okay, it's easy for participants to see the instruction and the questions in one page, even using a mobile phone. Yeah, so you can that's why it's very important to try out your survey first. Yeah, so you can see that, okay, in the mobile phone, it's easier to probably display 1 or 2 questions per page, so then you can play out with the settings. And then there's also non-experiment research principle, is that we should not oblige the respondents to answer the questions. So with using online survey, that there's this required field. Well, sometimes you might want to do that to make sure that the respondents are responding to each of the questions. But there is another view of this, so non-response is better than inaccurate data. So because when you are forcing the respondents to answer all the questions, they might just answer it inaccurately. Yeah, so it's better to have non-response, because we can do something about it, like advanced statistics, using the advanced statistics with handling the missing data. but it's better than inaccurate data. But also there's another way that you can use another option, like others, so to and make them specify, or just others, or they can you can have another option like I don't want to respond, or something like that, or not comfortable to respond. There are some questions that you might need this kind of options, or not applicable. So even if you're gonna requiring each of the respondents to answer or to respond to all items, then if they have this kind of options, the other options, then they still have a chance, to not answering the question without leaving the questionnaire empty. And then this is the way to control the survey process. So you might want to do a closed survey because you don't want your survey to be out, and then you might lose potential participants, right? So then you can use pins, so only eligible respondents who can access. So they will have to, for example, register or do a sort of like a part one survey, like a screening survey first, and then you only invite those people who are eligible for taking the main study of the survey, for example, and then you give them PIN, or they can access it using a PIN, for example. And then you might also want to consider re-login, a possibility of re-login. So maybe participant will they might have problem, related to the internet speed, the networks, and other reasons. You might want to allow re-login for in some cases, and by using also PIN, you also minimize duplicate data. So you will know that if you're giving certain PIN to each participant, like unique password and unique numbers for each participant, then you would know if someone is filling out the survey twice, more than one time, you would know which participant is actually filling out the data, the questionnaire twice, giving you duplicate data. And also using password, using the kind of unique identifier number, you will know who have not filled out the questionnaire, so you can contact them. So please, fill out the questionnaire, because you might have not seen this identifier number in the data. And you can also send follow-up reminder for your participants. If you see that I have sent like invitation to 100 participants and only 50 of them already participated, then you can send follow-up reminder to the other 50. And then don't forget to also send thank you note for each of your participants. Okay, when you are conducting an online survey, consider to make the survey website. So you sort of create a specific website or web page that describe the survey. So here participants can get more information regarding the survey. So instead of putting all the information in the questionnaire itself, you can just write them down, describe them in the survey website. You can provide information about why the survey is conducted, who is the targeted respondents, why is it important to participate, to sort of encourage or motivate the potential participants to complete the survey, and how to get the invitation to fill the questionnaire. And then you can also introduce the survey team, so you can give out some information about who ran the survey, which will increase the credibility of the survey. And then you can also provide FAQ page in there, and then information about about the data privacy, about how you would use the data without violating their privacy. And then if you have newest information about how many respondents already filled the survey, then you can also put it out there. And then maybe the research results once the survey data collection is completed. There are many survey platforms that you can use for conducting the online survey. There's Lime Survey, Qualtrics, Typeform, SurveyMonkey, and the most popular among the college students here is the Google Forms. And you're already familiar with all of these other supporting applications. Maybe you might need to have the word processor, maybe to construct your questionnaires, the surveys, and statistical program, a database or spreadsheet. Yeah, you can use Excel spreadsheet and the email program if you need it. And also some social nowadays, yeah, you might also need to use some of the social media applications like the WhatsApp or the Instagram or Twitter to sort of advertise your survey. Yeah, so you can advertise and you can give out like survey link. If you want this to be accessible for public, then you can put it out in your Instagram or in many social media accounts that you have. Okay, these are the references, and we will meet again in the next video.